Hey everyone, my name is Fabio, and today I want to explore and start unfolding the Stonemason story, which is my new theme that I've been working on since November of 2023. That's my first take of doing storytelling since I finished my previous theme, Flow, Finding Oneself, which has been documented on Twitch and finalized in 2021. No, 2022. 2022. And now it's my second attempt on creating my next story, my next sort of interest. And these videos are something new for me. I have never really done them before. So let's see how this is gonna go and this new side of broadcasting and sharing my art shall go. So what is the Stonemason story and what is to be expected and all that? So the Stonemason story is a post World War II story that we follow this protagonist who fought in the war, and we see the aftermath of his life, his emotions, and what he's dealing with his deeds. Now the aftermath comes in the shape of different parts of decades afterwards, leading up towards the end of his life. Sort of the old age that he was able to acquire and see how that affected him. So it happens and it's situated in this tower that he was given when he came overseas to help the Allies in the war. Given his talent and skills in art and stonemasonry, he was given this sort of space that he can showcase his work to bring alleviation and sort of a slice of a bit of hope into people's sort of lives. And he did it for many years, up until the point when he decided not to go back to where he came from and stayed there, given that wherever he came from and what he left behind is no longer there waiting for him. So it's a revelation of how one perceives the past and wishes it to be the present, and how it actually is in reality, and how does one deal with that. So a lot of remorse, a lot of rumination that is happening in the story. And as the story progresses and we're seeing the stonemason unfold, we see how he, at some point, for whatever reason that is going to be deciphered into the story, he decided to isolate himself, close and bar the doors of the tower, and live the rest of his life in this 3-story tower, with just him, his thoughts, his art, and the memories of his past. So we see what's happening in his mental state, at the same time how that affects his environment. Now, how is this going to be expressed into the story? So it's going to be an illustrative book type story, that there's going to be a narration that explains everything that is happening in the story, but at the same time, the illustrations that are going to be accompanying the narration are going to be interactable. Now, what do I mean by interactable illustrations? So when we observe a composition that the narration is sort of explaining, things in the composition, for example, letters that you're going to be seeing, statues, objects that are sort of laying around, you can actually click on them. And when you click on them, a lightbox effect, which is basically, as the web page is shown, an overlay of like this image that you're going to be clicking, which is going to be a close-up of it. You can actually decipher it for yourself. If it's going to be a letter, you can actually read it. If it's going to be an object that is far away, you can actually see some of the detail and form your ideas and have like this personalized first-person storytelling ability that you weren't going to be able to get from the third-person narration that is happening. Because when we are going to be going into the tower after the many years that has been closed, and we are given access to it as the viewers, the audience, we are going to be reading the narration, which explains us what the rooms used to be, what the rooms were remembered by the people that were in them once, and how now us seeing it in reality how it is. So for example, you're going to be seeing a corridor that was filled with statues, and there used to be an exhibition, and on the statue on the left was this and that. And now that we see it, the narration and the reality, we see the reality changing a little bit of what the narration says, because the narration was before he closed and isolated himself, and us going and seeing it is what is happening in the now, what has happened here. So it creates sort of a question of how do we navigate this gap of what is shown and what is being told for us. And that's where the personalized first-person view of the narration comes, where you're going to be clicking around things that are interesting so you can uncover what the stonemason has been doing, but at the same time who he is from his perspective, given that the memorabilia that you're going to be finding and the things that you're going to be seeing is his personality and his reality. So it has like this very interesting sort of marriage between different art styles and different art mediums. So we have writing work, we have poetry, we have illustrations, and then we have all of them together and objects to form a bond and a mold that everything sort of ties in together. And it's very interesting and exciting to see all of it coming together, given now that I am almost done. I'm 70% done on the first arc, which this story is going to be unfolded in 3 different arcs. I have been working on the first arc since 2023 in November, and now I am almost done. I have 2 more chapters to do. When I say 2 more chapters, I mean the illustration parts of it, because the way that it's broken down is 3 main designs for each chapter, and each chapter has interactables. Some of them have less and some of them have more. For example, in chapter 3, which I have finished, except the major design. So the design of the chapters 3 is that it's a corridor with the 6 statues that you're going to be seeing. So what the composition tells you is that visually there's a corridor and 6 statues on their profile view. Now you're going to be able to click on each of the statues in whatever order you want, and that will prompt a composition that you're going to see them sort of in their face value, in their frontal view. And you're going to be able to explore what's happening behind them, on their sides, on the rooftops, on the walls. So it has you're walking along the corridor and seeing everything, and if you want to pick up something, you're going to click on it and have a prompt to read it or show it. So it has a sort of like an exploration and adventurous feel to it. And my hope is that the more interested you are with it, the more attention you give to the details of the composition, the more you're going to uncover. So it goes like this. As of any part of my work, I think since the beginning that I started sharing it, the more time you give into something, the more you're going to be getting back. So, for example, part of the statues of chapters 3, you are going to be able to witness books, letters, and things on the floor that showcase what he was doing there at some point of his life, and what point was he there, and how did the statues sort of withstood the passage of time, and at what age did he make them? Given now that we're seeing an old and frail sort of stonemason, he didn't make all the statues now, he made them at some point in his life. So there is lots of answers to uncover of which part of his life was he creating this statue, or which part of his life was he sort of like more invested in this or less invested in this, and how he felt by how he's sort of depicting it. And there has been a lot of questions in my mind on how do I depict someone's sort of progress in art, given that, you know, the stonemasonry that he's going to be doing is not going to be the same when he was 30 and now that he is like 70, for example. And it's an interesting idea, because when I'm looking at old master painters, you can see it in their work that in the beginning they were more interested in details, they were more interested in how everything is refined, everything is sort of made, and as they're growing up and they're just doing art for themselves they don't really care about the details. No, I don't think no artist in the end of the day cares about making everything super, super rounded up. We, as we're growing and as we're like finding what we like about the art, we just focus on that and don't really care about anything else. At least that's my understanding of it, and I will be very interested to hear what you guys think about that sort of statement that I made. That we see what we most care first being made, and everything else is just the idea that it's gonna compile everything together. So yeah, this is how it's gonna sort of unfold. And currently, you must have been witnessing some of a time lapse of chapters 2 Major Design is what I'm currently working on. Chapter 2 Major Design is a design that basically showcases for the first time the stonemason himself. It's the first time we see him and the first time we're being introduced to him and who he is and what the room is about, and the narration sort of explains us in sort of like a two-dimensional idea of what is happening around, but then it's our task to really click on what he's doing. As you can see, I don't know how visible it is, but as you can see, you can decipher that he's holding things. There's lots of disarray around him. It sort of shows the character that the stonemason and the mood that he's in, and everything that you're seeing, you can click on it and start to understand, what is this letter on the floor? What is this page? What is he reading? What is he reading? What is going on in the background? Like the statues on the side. Like you begin to, your interest is being rewarded as you're observing the details that are placed in the compositions. And given that this is all new for me, the way that I'm going to be showcasing this work, I have some ideas of how I want to unfold it and really get behind on what's going on, and how much work I have done so far. And I want to say that currently I have done 6 different designs, and with this 7, and I have 2 more left. The 2 more left is again 2 more major designs, and after that, I have written the story, I have written the letters, the poetry, and parts of the books that you're gonna be reading. And what is left is me compiling everything together. Now, I know it's a lot to take in, and I know it's a lot to sort of digest without having to see a lot of visuals. So my hope is through these videos, you're gonna be seeing the visuals that I'm sort of explaining. And for example, in the next video that you're gonna be seeing, we're gonna be diving deeper into chapters 2 Major Design, which is gonna be finished by next week, and we can go through it and understand how I placed things and see it together visually and explore it in a non-spoilery way, but in an idea what you can do with it, like how can you navigate through it. And as I do that, I wanted to start doing some live streams, which I have made a lot of progress in my previous theme, but this time around I want to try it a little bit differently. Given that in my previous theme it took the majority of my time, it took most of my time out of my life, and I don't want that to happen again. I want to have quite a balanced sort of social life, my time and my art's time. I want to do this new method of having some live streams in a month, but at the same time introducing and doing a work in progress sort of stream that has Q&As, me explaining more of what is going on and the questions. So I can encourage the thing that I loved the most in my live streams, which was the conversations of how you're perceiving what I'm creating and how I am being inspired by the things that I haven't seen from your words. So that will come back, and I'm hoping with me coming sort of now to showcase what I'm doing to spark that. The reason it took me so long since 2023 was that I wanted this time around for it not to be influenced by different opinions. And you know, when you're creating something, people might fix it on something that they like, but then unwillingly you begin to fixate on that too. So I wanted to have a sort of an established style, an established vision, and sort of ground for me to stand on before opening up and showcasing something that was so prototyped, so beginner stage, that now that it's towards its end, not a lot of things can change other than just getting it better, right? So that's why I'm opening now, and I have a lot to uncover, and I have a lot to say, and I hope most of it is of interest to you, and that you can get behind it as much as I am getting interested and super excited to share. So yeah, other things to say before I want to close this video is that given that all my time is going to be spent here, and all of my working time at least, and I told you about the live streams. The live streams, by the way, will be announced in the beginning of each month. I'm going to make time, and there's going to be a timetable for you guys to know exactly where I'm going to be live, and just see how often or how sparingly I will be doing them. I don't really have an idea of when at the moment, because I want to focus on getting some videos out so you can understand some sort of core elements of the story before I start doing some live streams and continuing my work. But it's going to happen very soon, so please do be interested and come back to for the information that's going to be given. But alongside this, what I was trying to say was that I created some subscription tiers. The subscription tiers is basically Twitch's sort of tiers in terms of price, but with my rewards that I wanted to give rather than Twitch's rewards. Which was that the first tier, it's going to give you an access to my Discord server for those of you who are new into this journey, and they're going to give you access to my close friends group Instagram stories, which is basically going to give you more information on the story and more information on what I'm doing every day with my art, and basically the behind the scenes, and hanging out and having a conversation and giving you sort of glimpses of my life and how that is sort of putting into the Stonemason. The second tier is going to have whatever the first one is having, but in every 3 months you're going to be having an A5 print. An A5 print that is basically work that I haven't really showcased ever, and it's a sequence of when you complete the 12 months, which is going to be 4 prints, you're going to have a story unfolding with them, and they're quite amazing. I quite like them, and if you're interested, please check them, because you can see what to expect afterwards when you're there. Also, the last tier, it's a one-time payment only, which you pay upfront for all the prints and all the sort of benefits, and you get them immediately with the additional extra print that you're going to have with it. So all of the things that I'm saying and all the links and stuff are going to be in the description. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to hear what you guys think about this, and it's something new, and let's see how it's going to go.